evening. Welcome to Peace Diplomacy Talk. Joining us tonight is a diplomat from South Africa, Her Excellency Bartinah Radebe-Netshitenzhe, the Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of the Republic of South Africa to the Republic of the Philippines. Welcome to the program, Ambassador Bartinah.
Good evening, sir. Thank you for hosting me this evening. Thank you very much.
Tell us your experience growing up from South Africa.
Indeed, my growing up in South Africa, it's reminiscence of most of my generation group. A generation that grew up under apartheid, a generation that grew up under oppression, colonization, oppression, dislocation, and all sorts of colonization, as we all know it to entails. It also includes being discriminated against on the basis of race, being given inferior education. As I've said it is actually a story of my generation, that everyone have come to know apartheid, how it was. It was indeed apartheid that was segregating people on the basis of race. It is also important to note that I, like the youth of that time, refused to succumb to the dehumanization that our forefathers, like Nelson Mandela, were at that time imprisoned, had been subjected to. We really stood up against the system and say now or never. Indeed, our efforts, activism, anti-apartheid, a struggle that we waged against the regime, saw indeed the talks that started in 1992 with the release of Nelson Mandela from prison, and the ushering of the new democracy in 1994, the elections that saw the first Black president, which was Nelson Mandela himself, bestowed as the first Black president, and the first government which was in majority rule of the Black people of South Africa that have been yearning for all the years. Thank you.
So tell us your important lesson you learned based from those experiences.
As I've said it before, I wouldn't like anyone to have undergone the same experiences we've undergone. The issue of dispossession, the issue of colonization, the issue of racial discrimination are painful, and the effects of some of this past lingers today, in particular in the area of education, economy. Even today, our people still suffer from disparities in terms of accessing some of this education, some of them the economy still not being able to absorb as much as people that were on the sideline, because it was majority that was on the sideline. This is what we learned. But we think with that, we've also learned resilience. We've also learned human rights. We've also learned to accept that we are a diverse nation, that we can live together, that no one must be oppressing, no man must oppress another man. That is the lessons that we've learned from our past.
Who do you consider your important leader and why?
Besides Nelson Mandela, I consider my leader to be Charlotte Maxeke, precisely because she's a woman, as we had celebrated International Women's Diplomatic Corps on the 24th. I would like to put forth one of the strongest women. She was educated and became a BSc in engineering, got an engineering from Ohio University in the 1903, and the first Black African to have got the degree from the United States. And instead of being aloof and above his people, she went back and plowed back into the people in terms of education, in terms of projects that were empowering women. She became president of many organizations of Black women. She became the first resistant women. She's Charlotte Maxeke, as we've all come to know him. She is my heroine.
So why is peace diplomacy is still essential in today's world order?
Because to be honest, without peace, the world will continue to battle with the issues that we see today. The issues of conflict, the issues of instability, the issues of disparity, even the issue of lack of consistency in terms of application. So peace diplomacy remains critical in terms of being in the forefront of fighting all these things and engaging on them strategically and saying what is it that we knew. Central is the inequality that we have experienced, that peace can never be achieved if the world is perceived or seen not to be equal. We've seen this with the pandemic. We have seen this, the interpretation of the issues that we're engaging with in Ukraine, that everybody is starting to question whether peace indeed is important. My view is that it is more critical and more relevant that we need peace diplomacy than before. Indeed, we need to look at it in terms of how we reset and look at our approach in terms of approaching all peace initiatives equally with the same vigor and consistency in our application as we undertake these new realities that are faced with us in terms of pandemic, economy, inequalities, etc. Thank you.
So what is your message to our viewers for tonight?
Actually, we need to reset a new approach in terms of peace diplomacy. As I've said it before, we need to address and deal with conflicts, outstanding conflicts in particular. The issues of Palestinians need to be sorted out. The issue of Ukraine needed to be sorted out. We need to sort out, there's still people who are still in exile, and in some of them destitute and far away from their places, the Iraq people, the Syria people. For peace to prevail, we really need to really look at all those outstanding conflicts that we have not been able to look into them. For it will divide us. We will remain divided in terms of how we approach the world. For us to be united, we need to reset our approach. We need to be consistent. We need to be seen to be applying equal measures for all conflicts. We need to be open. We need to be transparent. We need to be fair, and we need in all of these things. We need peace consistently applied. We need diplomacy consistently applied. We need fairness. We don't need any other person telling us otherwise. We need people to be seen to be treated equally. As long as people see that there is no fairness, there is unequal treatment in terms of their own struggles, in terms of their own conflict, in terms of their own economic development, in particular affecting children and women, there will never be peace. So it's important, I repeat, we reset the approach, the strategy, the application of peace diplomacy. Thank you.
On that note, thank you very much, Ambassador Bartinah Radebe-Netshitenzhe. That's the Peace Diplomacy Talk for tonight. This is Rayron Del Rosario. Catch us for our next episode only here in IPDCI News Channel.
Thank you. Thank you very much for hosting me. I hope the listeners do hear our voice as we speak all the time about issues of peace diplomacy. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Bartinah.